In this video, as you may have seen from my Instagram during the week or just the thumbnail and the title of this video, I am doing a Richmond 30-man Royal Rumble lineup. So this Sunday in WWE, for wrestling fans out there, they'll know all about this. It is the Royal Rumble, and it's an iconic event. It's been happening for years and years and years. And as a kid, I grew up sort of being a fan of WWE and watching the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania and all these other big events. So I realised that it was happening again. I've sort of distanced myself from it as you get older, as a lot of people do, but I've noticed it's back, and I thought there's a bit of hype going around it. I wonder who would enter the Royal Rumble match from past and present Richmond players. So I thought I'll have a bit of fun with it. It's something different. I am wearing my Kevin Nash Big Sexy t-shirt in the spirit of things, but I will go through a list of my top 30 players that I'd like to see in a Royal Rumble, or who I think would enter in a Richmond Royal Rumble match. I'll give it the end who I think would probably win that one as well. So it's going to be an interesting one. I've got reasons for some players. Some players are just in there because I think it'd be cool and I like them, but some players have specific reasons. So I'll get into it. I'm going to be looking at a lot of this list, so forgive me for looking away at the screen a fair bit, but I'll go through it. I'll get started. May as well dive into it. Coming in at number one is Kevin Bartlett, KB, and I know you picture him as an old, frail type of dude, but he's the Richmond Games record holder, and I just think for that reason, he's got a stamina where he can just keep going and going and going. I think coming in at number one, he'll potentially be able to go a fair way through up until number 30. So, Kevin Bartlett. Number two, an older style player, Matty Knights, just an absolute hard nut. Loved him. I think it'd be silly not to have him in there just because the way he went at the footy. He'd be a great asset to a Royal Rumble match. Entertaining. Number three, Duncan Callaway. I don't remember too much of Duncan playing his footy back in the day, but I remember I reached out to a few family members and all that and sort of gauged who they'd want in the side, and he was a name that just popped up every single time. And from what I do remember, I loved watching him play, so another reason why he's fantastic to be in this list. Number four, and strictly because it's the number he wears on his back and he's the most entertaining player to watch at the moment, Dustin Martin, the GOAT, our go-to man. How do you not put Dusty in the list? I feel like he's got that aggressiveness, strength, he'd be fending everybody off. He'd pushing blokes over the top rope with his fend off alone. So for me, number four is Dustin Martin. I'm going to go sort of scroll through him a little bit now, try and get through him a bit more. Number five, I've got Nathan Brown, elite little small forward, snifty. Reminds me a little bit of that Rey Mysterio type. I feel like he'd be able to come in and be quite athletic and get under a few blokes. So Nathan Brown was number five for me. Number six, Daniel Jackson, another tough nut. The picture that comes to mind is him running off the ground, blood streaming down his face. And to me, that just screamed WWE, wrestling, and all that type of stuff. So I couldn't not have him in there. Number seven, our fearless leader from back in the day, Wayne Campbell. Just another one. I feel like a lot of these blokes we had in the late 90s, early 2000s were sort of all tough nuts, put their head over the footy quite a bit. And Wayne Campbell was another one for me. And number eight, it'd be remiss of me not to put him on this list. I've got the push-up king, Jakey boy, another one, a feisty little guy, loved to fight, loved to scrap. He'd be silly not to put on this list. I've got Jake King at number nine. A lot of opposition fans say he's a dirty player, and he goes hard at it, and for that reason, I've shoved him in there. I've got Trent Cotchin, and as well at number nine, his number. I've got Cotchin in there. I just feel like his aggressiveness and passion would be doing well in a Royal Rumble match. So I've got Cotchin number nine. At number 10, I've got Brett Delidio. This is purely because he's one of my favourite of all time Richmond players. I was obsessed with Delidio when he was at the Tigers. Devastated when he left, but while he was there, he was one of my favourites, and I couldn't leave him off this list pretty much for that reason. At number 11, I've got Chris Newman, another player I absolutely adored when he was in the side. He was captain for a little while there, handed the reins to Cotchin, obviously, but I loved Chris Newman, the way he went about his footy, and I feel like another one he would just do well in a Royal Rumble match. At number 12, my favourite Richmond player of all time, and no doubt a lot of you as well, Matthew Richardson. How do you not have Richo in the Royal Rumble? A cult figure, club legend. He's got everything going for him. He has to be in this list, no doubt. Matthew Richardson. And I think he'd make a big, big impact in the Royal Rumble match, Richo. So Richo is number 12 on the list for me. Number 13, we're going back a little bit with this one. I've got Michael Roach, Disco. I feel like his high-flying ability and all that. He's a big man, but could we see him jump off the top rope? It's a risky move, but you could potentially see Roachy doing some stuff like that. So Michael Roach is in there for me. Plus, he played in that era where it was a lot tougher, harder footy, blokes went at each other more so than the ball, a lot more than they do today. So I feel like he'd be perfect for a Royal Rumble match. Speaking of an older era, number 14, I have got Captain Blood himself, Jack Dyer. I mean, do I say no more? From the elbows to the faces, the old school style. He's that ruckman, not as built as our ruckman nowadays, or as tall, I don't think, but he's just an aggressive player. His nickname is Captain Blood. I mean, that's a wrestling name in itself, Captain Blood. So he had to be on this list, no doubt. Number 15, he'd probably be more defensive than offensive in the ring, but I got Alex Rance. How do you not put him? 6-time All-Australian, or 5-time, was it? I can't remember. He captained an All-Australian side one year. Star, one of the best backmen we've ever seen. How do you not include him on this list? Number 16, and the next couple are actually shorter blokes, but absolute wild nuts. And I've got Stephen Morris. Now, Steve Morris, for those who remember him playing, he was one of those blokes that you knew if the ball was in his vicinity, he'd be doing whatever he could to punch it over the line, get a spoil in, run back, chase down tackles. He did the nitty-gritty stuff a lot of other players don't like to do, and Steve Morris was a massive one of doing that. So for me, I couldn't leave him off this list. And that leads me into the next bloke who's actually quite similar, except he pushes forward a lot more than Steve Morris did from my memory, and that's Liam Baker. I mean, he was in the thumbnail. It's hard not to include Bakes after putting him in the thumbnail. So Liam Baker for me has to be in there. Again, same as Dan Jackson. Just that vision of him with blood streaming down his face, running off the ground. Had to be on the list. So Baker's at number 17. At number 18, and I nearly left him off this list, not for any reason on purpose, just happened to be that way. And it wasn't until I was watching some old Richmond games on KO yesterday that his name sprung back into my head, and I don't know how I left him out. But Ivan Maric, the flying mullet, he was, mate, talk about blokes you'd want alongside you in a Royal Rumble match. Not that you have anyone on your side in a Royal Rumble match, but geez, Ivan Maric for me has to be on this list. Yeah, I just picture, I know it was a bad day for us, but the elimination final against the Blues in 13 when he kicked that goal in the last quarter and he went nuts. That look in his eyes was scary. And I think if you see that running towards you in a Royal Rumble match, you'll jump over the top rope yourself. He won't need to throw you over. So at 18, I've got Ivan Maric. Another player at number 19 coming in here who loved a bit of blood all over him and that fearless type player, Francis Burke. I'm pretty sure he won an award that year for the most courageous act or something like that when he came off with blood all in his face, kicked the goal as well, couldn't see out of one eye. I mean, just hard nut, went at it tough. You can't leave him off this list. Another player from his generation. I didn't see him play, so in my eyes, he's the second best number 4 at the club of all time. But Royce Hart, the half forward, one of the greatest of all time in that position, absolute star. And again, if his knees didn't let him down, who knows? But I loved Royce Hart. I think, for the highlights I've seen of Hardy, and I think you can't leave him off this list. At number 21, another big forward, but loves a scrap, especially in 2020. He loved getting around it, and he toes the line a lot, doesn't he? But Tom Lynch, how do you leave Tom Lynch off this list? He's feisty, he's aggressive, he does border the line of what's okay and what's not okay a lot, and I think that's perfect for a Royal Rumble match. I've got Lynchy in there. At 22, rest in peace, but I've got Shane Tuck on there, and I think I used to call him the Warhorse when I watched him play, and I think for that reason, just the way he went about the footy, the way he went about himself. He was a boxer as well. He did boxing after footy, so all that combined, he's a fighter. He had to be on the list. I've got Shane Tuck at 22. At 23, I wish I remembered more about this bloke than just his curly locks, but I got Darren Gasper in there. For me, he was like the original Dylan Grimes. I mean, I loved Darren Gasper. The way he went about his footy, he was fantastic. So I couldn't not have Darren Gasper on this list. Playing AFL 2005 on the PlayStation with him, I used to love running off half back. So I've got Darren Gasper there. Number 24, I've got Mark Chaffee, another one, a little nugget. I love the way he went about his footy. Bulky little dude, ran around. Just a lot of these blokes, I mean, they're on the list for a reason, but they're just tough, hard at the ball. And I like Chaffee. The next 4, all great players. So I had to put them all on the list. Well, actually, I mentioned one of them already, number 3, and I had Duncan Callaway. So I've got Andrew Callaway, I've got Duncan Callaway, and then I've got Brendan Gale and Michael Gale. And I've got the 4 brothers in there. They all had to be on the list. I mean, how do you leave? I just think it'd be a nice little cool thing, one after the other as well, consecutive entrances. You've got, I know I listed Duncan Callaway at number 3. I'm bringing him forward and push everyone back. I'm bringing him forward to number 24. So you got Duncan Callaway. At 25, you've got Andrew Callaway. 26, Brendan Gale. 27, Michael Gale. Just consecutive brothers. I think that just a bit of show about it. It just lifts the atmosphere a little bit. Seeing all the brothers come out one after the other, I think that'd be kind of cool. And they're all great players as well, so no doubt. At number 28, I've got Andrew Cracker. His time at Richmond was limited, but I just think he'd be a bit of X factor, bring into the side. I love the way he went about his footy when he was playing with us as well, even when he went to Collingwood and as well. I liked his football, so I think he'd be another one to put in the list there. Andrew Cracker at 28. 29, Nathan Foley, the speedster. I don't remember many blokes quicker than him on the field at Richmond, especially during his era. So I loved Nathan Foley. Be zipping around the ring. Another one as well, the footage of him coming off the ground with blood streaming down his face. There's a few of those on this list, but how do you leave those boys out? And at number 30, and I know I've reached my list now, and it's towards the end. I've missed probably so many blokes, but I've got Toby Nankervis, our captain at the moment, or co-captain currently. He's tough. I mean, everyone watches the way he goes about his footy. He toes the line a little bit like Lynch, but I think we need that from your ruckman and your captain as well. Shows that aggressiveness, shows what he's willing to do for the side. So I've got Nank coming in number 30, which I know you could argue that number 30, you've got to have a big entrance. You could have put Dusty at 30 and come in late, and I've more just put these guys on a list, and I think the order is up for interpretation, but obviously you guys are probably going to have different people on your list to what I'm going to have in mind. So let me know what you guys think. Who would you have on this list? I had some people tell me that I've had a lot of people missing, and they're from close families or sort of that I've checked this list with before taking it to YouTube. So let me know what you guys think. I think a lot of these guys are probably nostalgic for me. I mean, when you look at Richo, Delidio, Dan Jackson, Nathan Brown, I mean, some of these guys are for me nostalgic players that I've thrown in because I love them while they were playing. But then some of these guys obviously earned their spot on the list as well. I mean, how do you not have Jack Dyer, Captain Blood on the list? Obviously, I didn't see him play. I barely saw him commentate. I'm probably too young for that. So, but you can't leave him off the list. Was what I'm getting at there. So that is my list in the lead up to this Sunday's Royal Rumble match in the WWE. If you're a fan of the WWE, I hope you enjoy this list. If not, I still hope you enjoy it, even though you might not quite understand what it's all about. But there we go. Let me know as well who you think would have the most interesting theme music coming in, because nothing better in a Royal Rumble than the pop, and you just hear the theme music go off, the crowd goes nuts, the player runs down to the ring. So I reckon that'd be awesome. So let me know what you guys think of my list. Who would you put in? Who would you take out? And who would have the most interesting theme music? So that is all. If you are watching the Royal Rumble, enjoy it. But if not, enjoy all the Richmond preseason content that the club has been pushing out. I'm going to get a few more videos out as well, so hopefully you can stay tuned on those. If you can, please head over to the Pressure Point page. Give us a follow as well on the podcast. They are sort of the parent platform to what Tiger Den is the baby. So get along to them. We've got some merchandise out at the moment. Tees are running out, but we do have some bucket hats, caps, stubby holders left. And there are t-shirts available as well. I think mediums and large is all we've got left at this stage. We'll be restocking. So jump across, chuck us a follow, like, subscribe, comment if you can. Boosts the algorithm heaps, helps this content get out to more people. So hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be back very shortly for a new one. So until then, go Tigers.